We can kill him here. He's dead. Just, yep, yeah. They don't have no Shen.
I'm on match. I'm on match. I'm on match.
Okay, okay. They have no Shen. They have no Shen.
Nice, good job.
Damn, we could have Baron there, but
Don't you ever say the B word.
Okay, okay.
What the hell is wrong with
Shut up
you?
about velocity, but...
Welcome back to week 5 of the NA LCS split. And before we get to our third match of the day, Cloud9 versus Velocity, I'd like to welcome Dignitas' Patoy to the desk. First of all, congratulations on your win. Secondly, I'd like to ask you about the B word, because you guys were very dramatic in that little voice clip.
The B word should never be spoken with our team unless we want to lose right away. So I threatened Scar to kick him off the team.
I like that, I like that. You just played a game now where you guys were incredibly dominant. You won all of your lanes. You played a slower paced match throughout the majority of the mid game. Did Baron ever actually legitimately come to mind? Or, what was your plan to finish the game out?
There was a stalemate where we were just like sitting in mid waiting for an objective to come up. So someone mentioned Baron, but that idea got tossed out in like 30 seconds. So we just decided to dive him and just run up.
So can you walk us through this bottom lane that went down? How does the Thresh Draven match up against the Graves and Sona?
Graves Sona is really good against Draven, but Thresh always has that threat of just killing everything in the game, especially with a jump jungler like Jarvan. That's terrifying, and it killed Cutie with the flash play. And pretty much because they know we play Graves Sona, because I talk with them a lot. So I definitely knew they had a plan. I just didn't tell Cutie, so he died. But yeah, it's just really good against each other. It's a little more in Graves Sona favor, but Draven Thresh can pull out.
So the other duo lane knows you guys pretty well. Do you play a lot outside of the LCS with each other?
Yeah, I played with MashMe for like a year. Me and Daydream and talk all the time, and we play and just talk about supports all the time. So I know what they're going to do. They know what we're going to do. It's just like mind games.
So if that's the case, talk me through the pink ward war. You guys had so many pink wards invested in that bottom lane, both yourself and Daydreaming, and it was just back and forth, back and forth. And to be honest, not much actually came from them.
Well, it's pretty much just pressure. It's pretty much just to make sure that the only gank they have is with Lantern from Jarvan, which they pulled off. And he actually won the pink ward when I went to pink our try. That was when he won the first time. And then I bought 3 more pinks. And then he had none, so...
It was personal after that.
Yeah, it was personal. I had to beat him with wards.
So how did you guys deal with the Shen split pushing? Definitely in that sound of the game right there, we heard you, oh, there's no more Shen because you just burst down the target, whoever he's shielding. Is that the focus during the team fights?
That wasn't the idea. Kiwi just got ahead, so he was able to just keep him in lane and just 1v1 him. And then anytime we bursted through Shen ulti, it was just that they were so low that there was no chance Shen would pop up anyway. So we just went in and then just won the game off that.
Did Kiwi talk at all before the game about what he wanted to go up against Shen so that he could win like that?
Yeah, we had a few scenarios planned out for what would he play, and he wanted to play Kennen and some other champion that I can't remember right now, but we definitely had plans.
Talk to me about the picks and bans phase, because your first pick was very quick. You locked that in, the Elise, very quickly. And then after that, there was a slowdown in the pace. Were you not expecting the Shen Draven coming out? Or was that part of the plans, you're just using the time to its full effect?
Well, we anticipated about 4 of their picks, and pretty much we just troll in champions. Like, we just pick like Fizz, just hold it there. Just pick random champions.
So for the last question before we head on to the rest of the games, in terms of prep for Champ Select, what are the key things that works for Dignitas in terms of picks and bans?
The key thing for us is we take out most of their cheese, because it's very obvious we have a low champion pool on a few of our players. So if we take out the cheese, it's a little easier because there's no counters if you don't have a big champion pool. So we had to leave Shen up because that's a big deal, but Kiwi said he could do it, and we trusted him. I never trust him. but he pulled out, so good for him, and we just went off that.
Well, congratulations, knowing the strengths and weaknesses of your team. All right, now it's time for our third match of the day, Cloud9 versus Velocity Esports. This is only the second time that these two LCS rookie squads have met this summer, if you can even call Cloud9 rookies with their 12-2 record.
Well, you can call them Rookies of the Year if you want. And back in week 1, Cloud9 beat Velocity in 33 minutes behind Sneaky's AD Jace. And that win capped off Cloud9's perfect week 1 where they went 5-0.
And coming into this match, Evaniscus and Velocity know that if they want to get back on track and rain on Cloud9's parade, they're going to have to play at the top of their game.
It's going to take almost a perfect game to beat Cloud9. We'd have to get our best champs and pull something quick on them. Probably get a strat together that we could surprise them with.
So surprising and something quick. That's pretty much
yeah,
what
not like a lot of confidence there. They have to get basically everything to go right, he's saying.
So Vulcan can attest that it takes a near perfect game to beat High and crew after Cloud9's miraculous comeback win yesterday.
All summer long, Cloud9 have shown a very strong early game, but yesterday they showed their versatility and proved that they can also handle themselves in the late game. High said in his post-game interview that they never went on tilt. No one started yelling, and they kept having fun. High told us, team, don't stop believing.
Yeah, hold on to that winning feeling, as it were. Anyways, after that short coda, let's take a look at their lineup. On the blue side, it is Cloud9. In the top lane, it is Balls. In the jungle, it is Meteos. In the mid lane, it is High. AD carry Sneaky, and support is Lemon Nation.
And in the red corner, it's Velocity. Chris is up top. NK Inks in the jungle, Echoes on mid, Maple Street on AD carry, and Evaniscus supporting.
So we're going to jump into Champion Select very, very shortly. And I want to highlight Echo for a second because this is his first week back in the LCS. Played 2 games yesterday, and he played pretty well. If I remember correctly, it was Twisted Fate then Ari. And his performance, while not game-changing, was still admirable.
He definitely has been performing up to standards. As far as supports go especially, he has definitely delivered. And that's very good news because when he was on Team Marn, he was having a lot of problems in the studio with various sicknesses, and he was never really quite at full strength.
So we are into picks and bans. Cloud9 have immediately removed Evelyn. They do not want that in NK Inc.'s hands. In reply, they've taken out Meteos as Zac. So focus on the junglers.
Jungler, 1-for-1 right there. They're going to take out the go-to champions. Meteos has said, though, like he's got plenty of junglers that he would love to go on after this. I would actually expect Velocity to not ban Nunu because Cloud9 actually gave up kind of a secret there where they don't like to play Nunu. That's one jungler that Meteos does not like. And even if they are first pick, they aren't going to take him.
So we'll see if that actually works out for them. There's a lot of mind games in that regard. Karthus and Rumble have been taken away. We've seen how strong Balls' Rumble was when he was taking out against Dyrus, if I recall correctly. Nunu has been banned out, as predicted.
It is Cloud9 to ban the Nunu, which is one of the very few teams that ban him when they're first pick. But since they know they already gave away everything in that interview, and Velocity won't be the ones banning it, they do have to do it themselves.
So what Velocity has prioritized was Twisted Fate over Jace. They feel that Twisted Fate was scarier, and it means that was an insta-lock for High's Jace. It'll be the 4th time he's playing at the split, and it's a scary champion to give away.
There's so many champions you have to choose from when banning against Cloud9, though, that it's really just the lesser of two evils, what type of game you want to play against. Are you going to have to play against this map control of Twisted Fate and the possibility of constant ganks across the map? Or do you want to have to play against that end-game range poke from Jason, the constant acceleration gate shock blast?
So the decision is that they feel the poke is what they can handle, and we'll see if that works out. If you've got Elise that can, of course, dodge those skill shots, it'll play into your favor, and Nasus, in case of emergency, press R, get health.
So you see the 2 very, very good things that Velocity just did are banning out Zac and then taking his next 2 go-to junglers. So basically, they've taken all of the main junglers that Meteos really loves to move right here, and there was a very well-orchestrated picks and bans phase here for Velocity starting out because they were able to grab 2 of them in one swipe.
So what we do see from Cloud9, maybe a little bit of the pressure, the fact that that champion pool has been taken away. They decide to lock in their AD carry and support. We're going to see another Draven Thresh lane.
Well, they've been focusing so much on Meteos here that now Cloud9 can save that jungle pick to the very end, and we might see, the resurgence of that Lee Sin or something. Definitely, if they have an early game jungler to combo on that Draven Thresh lane, then like Patoy just said, there's always a potential for a kill there.
So we'll see what they decide, what their decision making is. Velocity are sitting on Anivia. Echo played a fair amount of Anivia, actually. It's one of his sort of go-to champions. And in terms of survivability, there's quite a lot there already.
Yeah, he actually said that he was the North American Froggen, which a lot of people were like, oh, big words there. But nobody else in North America really trying to claim that. So they gave
So
it.
first come, first serve.
Yeah, okay, there you go. You called it. I guess you can have it. The Zyra switch over there, though, is very interesting because either the Elise or Zyra are very, very strong support champions that offer a lot of kill potential in that bottom lane. And we'll have to see where that Elise and Zyra move around to, because Elise also is one of Chris's favorites too. So he'll definitely be vying for that one to be a solo lane Elise.
So it's definitely a matchup we'll keep our eyes on, and especially when you consider that full velocity, Maple Street's really their main man when it comes to carrying. The matches, the 2 games they have won has been thanks in part to Maple Street's performances. He's been put on a super ultra hyper carry of Cogmore. There's no real dive buddies from Cloud9, but if he takes too much poke, that's going to be a popped Caterpillar.
Yeah, not quite yet. There's no dive buddies. And with the Zyra, I feel like that would discourage a dive team from Cloud9, because with the Strangle Thorns and her Grasping Roots, she has so many answers for these dive teams. Plus, Velocity, if they do even lock in the Anivia on top of a Nasus, they have amazing wave clear. So they are looking for sort of stalling out, defending the turrets, going for the end game to get Maple Street fed up on that Kog'Maw and just continually clear the waves over and over.
So while they decide to lock in that final pick, we do see that Lee Sin has been secured for Meteor, so he's going to be on that very aggressive early game jungler again. And we see that Kennen has been locked in for balls. So you do have the possibility to dive, but there's also a lot of AoE. There's a lot of things that Cloud9's composition can do as well.
I love watching sort of the trail of champions that Meteus goes down through. He's got this tier that is so predictable. Everyone talks about how Cloud9 are predictable, and basically he goes from Zac, Elise, Nasus down to Lee Sin. We've never gone past Lee Sin. I want to know what's after the Lee Sin. If all of these junglers are taking him, what's his next answer? Because he said he's got a really deep champion pool, and I haven't seen what the next champion
We're only an
is.
L. We're only an L.
Yeah.
You know? That's as far as we make it down. The Lux was locked in instead of Anivia. So defensive potential not quite as strong as Anivia, but significantly further range.
They do also have another answer for a siege game here. So if it does come down to the poke, then landing that light binding combo from Lux definitely has a lot more kill potential here for the Velocity team, and they're just going to rely on Nasus plus that Zyra to do the wave clearing duties.
There's a lot of relatively safe long-range CC as well. You've got Elise, you've got Lux, and you've got Zyra. They can all land long-range skilled roots or stuns in effect, and it's pretty powerful if you can make them land. That is the key.
That's the key to this Velocity team. All of their CC abilities are skill shots. So if they're unskilled in their shots, then they won't be landing any kills.
So that's pretty much the best description you could ever hear. Cloud9 on the blue side, taking on Velocity Esports on the red side. As you can see, the game is loading up. We're about to jump into this matchup. Velocity is in desperate need of a win. I believe they are 2 wins and 12 losses right now in the summer split, and it's looking scary. It's getting to the point where there's potentially no return.
Well, you know what looks scary? 3 members starting Doran's Blade here for Cloud9. They are not afraid. They said they love playing aggressive, and they're just happier when they play offensively, and they play better that way. So I love this start from them. It's no surprise. Once again, they're looking for the early bully, and the only one that didn't go Doran's Blade that usually does would be that Lee Sin. We've seen so many Lee Sins start jungle with Doran's, and Meteos actually the one not to follow suit, and he goes with the standard machete and pots.
Meteos is a little bit off his game because all of his champions were taken away. He's had to dig deep down that champion pool, and that's why he forgot to buy his Dorans, is my guesstimate. Right now, once again, we see that 5-man push from Cloud9. They get 2 deep wards on the side of Velocity Esports' red buff, and they're immediately roaming down now towards potentially Velocity's blue buff.
Cloud9 have been very vocal about how worried they are about level 1s. They attribute a lot of their mistakes to the early level 1 invades, and having to come back from those is not something they would like to make a common occurrence. So they take the precedent here and get wards on both of the buffs here of Velocity, whereas Velocity are completely defensive and have given up all of their ground.
Yeah, they have 1 or 2 deep defensive wards, pretty much letting them know if and when Cloud9 are moving around the map. You can see that Chris, he did manage to get away safely before that invade from Cloud9 was able to trap him or trip him up. Right now, Velocity are doing the lane swap, and actually they're invading.
So Velocity didn't drop any early wards, but they're going with a delayed invade. 4 members over here to the blue buff, and they don't get that ward down.
So close. We do see, however, Lee Sin and Kenan starting on that bottom lane. The fact that Velocity were doing a lane swap, Cloud9 have predicted this, and they are sending their duo lane top as well.
Even with 4 people here, Velocity decide to use the smite. NKink's not going to have his smite down, but Sneaky's not going to have his flash down.
So very well played. Just a positional advantage, being able to scare him away.
Up, down, same thing.
Force that flash, getting him out of position. Meteos, however, is going to be able to try and put pressure on this blue buff. He's got his smite available and should pick it up.
And the reason that he has the confidence to do a solo retaliation invade is because of all those level 1 deep wards that his team put for him. So he doesn't actually have to have them come help. And he has full confidence to be doing whatever he wants in this blue side Velocity jungle.
So taking a look at the mid lane right now, High level 2 to Echo's level 2. Echo has actually burned his flash already. So summon a spell down from an early trade between High and himself. We'll see if that backs out or causes him any problems.
Yeah, that's been a problem with mid laners so far this week, is returning to their lanes. We saw Reginald get a lot of people into trouble with the same idea of just trying to walk through the river back to a lane with a solo Jace in it. High does make Echo pay with his flash.
So kind of cost him, and of course, if High can drop that hammer down, it will work in his favor. Lemonation is positioning himself.
Hooklands.
He's managed to hook Maple Street. Grasping Roots goes out, holds Lemonation in place, but that's not the man you want to lock down. That forces the flash, and that is a trade that Cloud9 will be very happy with.
No flashes up in top means that they have to be very, very careful here. You can see NKink already coming to lane.
So take a look at that. Echo gets drumped on. Ignite's ticking 110 HP, burning away, but High ran out of mana. Couldn't get any more shots down, and Echo's able to walk away.
One more attack would have been the death of Echo right there, but High does get to shove him out of lane with that Doran's Blade start.
Sneaky gets withered up, but here comes Meteos. He jumps forward. Kog'Maw is the first one to fall. Now they turn their attention to Evaniscus. There are 2 passives that'll deal damage from beyond the grave. We'll see if it can do anything, but at this point in time, nobody's low enough.
We're talking about Velocity having to be extra careful up in this top lane, but because they brought NKink up there, they actually got a little overconfident and decided to push, being extra aggressive, and paid for it with both of the members who had no flashes.
That's something we'll have to keep an eye on during those team fights. Once Kog'Maw and Zyra go down, there's always the possibility of those kills with a true damage afterwards.
Yeah, a long time ago, that was actually a very popular bottom lane just because of the true damage explosion that does happen when those champions both die. And that's one of the reasons, actually, why the true damage was toned down a little bit there on especially the Zyra death passive.
So in terms of the champions, First Blood was secured by Lemonation's Thresh. So if any champion was going to pick it up, I suppose your opponent's support is the one you'd really want it to go to, but it means he has a 5-minute Sightstone. So Vision is going to be so good, and against a Nasus who has to walk in lane, it's going to be difficult for NKink.
I don't think this Thresh-driven lane is going to be scared at any point in the near future in their lane, because not only do they have that Vision coverage, but a Nasus lane gank without something like a Thresh on his team is very, very hard to pull off and not usually going to come to anything.
So Cloud9 right now through almost 1,000 gold lead in the early stages of this matchup. Paul's level 5, working towards that slicing maelstrom, gets jumped on by Chris. NKink's trying to close the gap. The Cocoon gets sidestepped as the Wither goes down. Volatile Spiderling comes up. They get the flash, but a little uncoordinated.
So they still were able to get that flash. It's very interesting that Balls had the confidence to sidestep the Cocoon and not even have to flash it, but then blew it after getting withered. So they did get a nice cooldown from him, but here comes Meteos.
So Meteos has come in, Ignite is immediately down. The Tempest doesn't manage to land on anybody. Cress actually goes very aggressive, jumping back in. He's got Skittering Frenzy on, and those little baby Spiderlings giving him some HP back. But he's running out of mana for his human form.
Flash traded back, and both of these energy champions are going hard.
And Meteos tries to land the Sonic Wave, but a brilliant repel from Chris throws him up in the air. The Balls comes in, he lands the Shuriken, gets the Lightning down. Second kill of the game.
Again, after the Flash traded, Velocity don't back up, and they pay for it again.
So take a look in the top lane. Sneaky's doing so much work. He's just using that Draven to drop everybody down low. In terms of the carries, they're both losing a little bit of HP, but Vamp Scepter's helping him out.
He can completely bully this lane right now because NK Inc. is forced to be in vision of their team. He's down here in the bottom lane, and now he's going to get run on.
Pauls is going to use that slicing maelstrom, catches NK Inc. out, almost baits him in with the recall. One last minion attack's not going to be enough. They burned the Flash and Nessus, though. It's a success.
Yeah, great success right there for Balls. He does use his slicing maelstrom, but that is definitely a worthwhile trade for them. Now, nobody will fear the walking dog.
No, not at all. He's so far behind. 18 CS to the 35 of Meteos. He does have an assist on the board, but his direct opposite number has a level advantage, a kill advantage, and an assist advantage. We see Balls returning to lane with that Haunting Guys.
Haunting Guys is a really nice early pickup, especially for the laning Kennen phase, because we've already had to see Chris answer that preemptively with his Chalice build, so that magic resist is going to have to be... Oh!
The Cocoon catches out High. Spiderling is there. High manages to flash past the light binding. He's not putting place, and the Shock Blast just shreds those baby spiders.
So, High was having a really good time in that mid lane. He hadn't even had to bring consumables, and he had no wards down by his sides. Now that he has burned his flash, he'll have to be a little bit more cautious.
So, it was a well-timed flash at the very least, and you have to imagine that if Echo had just been a tiny bit quicker to get that light binding out, maybe could have held him in place. Falling a little bit behind in CS, 57 to 79. All of that early game pressure is really giving High this strong power position.
And High didn't even go back to base after that. He decided against having to get a ward, because remember, that gank was not the jungler. That was the solo laner, Chris, walking all the way up to the mid lane to come pull that off. And now, since they've actually switched up, he's not going to have to worry about that. This Lemon Nation plus Kennen Balls lane down bottom is going to keep up the pressure and force them to stay under turret.
They're doing so well. Every single lane is winning in CS right now. Jungler's got double advantage, 20 up top. Grasping Roots goes out, but Sneaky's just going to be able to run past it. Take a look at High. Hello, he yells. Knocks Evaniscus back. Slams the hammer down. First kill picked up. Sneaky turns his attention onto this Caterpillar Cogmore. Can Zyra pick up the true damage? No, because it's already landed. Shock Blast comes out, and they pick up yet another kill for Cloud9.
This is one of the adaptations that Cloud9 has said that they were working on, is the roaming of their various members. We've seen Lemon Nation in his interviews. The main thing he loves about Edward's playstyle that he's brought over to North America is the roaming support. After his lane gets ahead, he's able to leave that AD carry to solo, and he goes down bottom with just switching up their mid laner, allowing High to even come in for the gank. So great job by Cloud9, being a very mobile team and being very fluid with their changes.
So well played to them. The Flay lands on NK Inc. Their sentence is available. Elimination decides not to throw that one out. They just put a lot of free damage down onto the dog. As you see, Meteos is moving around the bottom lane. NK Link has been caught out. Slicing Maelstrom is there. Igniter is ticking. It's going to be enough to pick one up. Meteos is thinking about going in. Gets the Tempest down. Decides not to jump in even after the cripple has been thrown out.
Bonus of having these unconventional lanes after switching in the mid game is that your opponents are not used to going up against the Thresh Kennen lane there, and that double ulti combo was way too much.
So Cocoon does slow Meteos down. Chris is trying to get away to safety as best he can. Meteos is thinking about trying to do that Dragon Rage kick backwards, but there's always the repel available for Elise, and Chris is well aware of that safety net of his spider net.
Cloud9 are just managing themselves so well. You can see the movements of Meteos having gone mid to cover High's lane while High was ganking, then immediately transitions down to the bottom lane for the free turret.
So tower is picked up. That's the first of the game. We've already seen how mobile Cloud9 have been with all of the towers up. We'll see how they do when they've got a tower down and they've got even more freedom to move in and around the map.
Well, the first thing they're going to go for is that dragon.
They jump onto it right now. Dragon is, of course, been started. You can see the vision. The Whirling Death is thrown to the top lane, so Sneaky's doing the best he can to control the pace of that lane. This is an 11-minute Dragon that Velocity have no vision on and didn't even contest.
So well played by Cloud9. They usually talk about Sneaky being the member on their team that is most willing to give up farm, but they've actually switched it over and they're allowing him to solo over here and pick up every extra little bit that he can grab.
So it's working in their favor right now. He was 1v2 for a while as Elimination was in that bottom lane. He's actually even on CS with that Kog'Maw Zyra lane. To be fair, there has been a gank in there and a lot of pressure given to Maple Street and Evaniscus, but I think Cloud9 are aware they're scared of Maple's Cog.
And now that they've taken the bottom turret, it allows Lemon Nation to rotate back top, and they go for the offensive.
So we'll see, no death sentence gets thrown out by Lemon Nation, so doesn't manage to jump on anybody or hold them in place. But he's not afraid to use that flay. What I'm also noticing from Lemon Nation is he opens with his flay and then leads with his death sentence.
It's a lot easier to land the combo that way if you can actually get close enough to land your flay. So it's a good, much higher percentage hit combo here. NK Inc, though, going to be found out in that bush and actually even gets scared away in the 3 versus 2 situation up top.
You know, that Draven right now sitting with a BF sword and that Vamp Scepter, so much attack damage without the boost that those spinning axes give. It's going to hit particularly hard, especially against Nasus that's got really no big items.
You can see that Meteos didn't waste any time either, taking advantage of that information he got from the top lane. There's junglers up top, he invades on blue side.
So Chris is going to use that repel, goes over to the wolf camp. He does have his flash available, gets kicked backwards, then gets hammered backwards. He fail flashes into the wall. He's going to get dropped. Now they turn their attention to NK Inc. He puts a wither down, but a good kill for Cloud9.
Cloud9 juggling spiders right there. That was a beautiful play. Meteos kicking him over and high, jumping past that cocoon to pick up the kill. That was just very, very well executed. Timely maneuvers from Cloud9 as usual.
In the mid lane, Echo's taken a lot of damage. High's mana pool is low. Echo's HP pool is low. So you can imagine those shock blasts have been flying across the map and shredding him down. Blue buff is up. Meteos is trying to donate this one over to High, and he's going to get low enough for High to secure the last hits.
This game really is just so different from the last one we just watched. Dignitas just takes their time pushing in to win this game, whereas Cloud9 will not hesitate. They are grabbing every little inch that Velocity are giving to them and just continuing to push every single lane.
Cloud9's High is destroying their HP bars. 2 kills, 129 CS, and every shock blast combo is just melting HP. They've stacked up. Tower is down to about 50% HP. With Lux and Elise, if someone gets caught, there's the risk up in the top lane. Stranglethorns goes down, knocking up Sneaky, knocking up Lemon Nation. A double flay pulls them backwards. Whirling Death goes out. Ignite is ticking. 100 HP left in Evaniscus. One more attack. That's going to secure the kill. Now they turn the pressure on Maple Street. What a turnaround.
Sneaky with the baits and Lemon with the follow-up plays right there. Well-deserved kill for the support.
So incredibly well played. Pulling them out of range. Now in the top lane, Elise jumps up with the repel. Does manage to dodge past that lightning shuriken as High. He's in a little bit of trouble. Final spark comes out and doesn't do a whole lot.
Thank you, Acceleration Gate. He had the movement to be able to dodge that one. Oh, very, very sneaky right here. High actually, he still has the blue buff, so he's sticking around to land the damage. But because the shock blast doesn't hit, Balls doesn't go in for the kill.
So let's see how much money Cloud9 is sitting on right now. At 15 minutes on the dot, couple members with 1,000 gold to spend. 1,300 lead in the top lane, 1,300 lead in the jungle. I mean, it's massive advantages. They've caught out the dog. Meteos has jumped on him. Red buff is there. And they'll be able to get pulled backwards. This is a 2 versus 3. They realize they're outnumbered, and they start backing away. Meteos is going to safeguard over to his teammate, Lemon Nation, and walks out of there unscathed.
They did pop the Nasus ult, but traded Elise and Kick for it. It's a pretty worthwhile trade. While the cooldowns are pretty similar, Nasus without his ultimate loses his main threat ability, which is basically the objective control that they would bring to the team.
So we do see that High actually did not recall of the mid on that bottom lane. He actually stuck around long enough to pick up the 3rd tower of the game. So middle, outer, and both bottom lane outer towers are down. In the bottom lane, we see Balls. He's going toe-to-toe with Chris. It's just non-stop. He's been jumped on, and he's going to be able to flash and lightning rush away.
Using that flash for the defensive disengage right there does mean that, at least for Velocity's sake, Cloud9 does not have the flash Maelstrom available to them for another 5 minutes.
You have to feel that at 16 minutes with a 9,000 gold lead,
So
4 towers to 0, 8 kills to 1. This is Cloud9's complete control game.
I can't argue with that one, Trevor. It's definitely in Cloud9's hands right now. And they continue, like we said, just to continue to shove all lanes. Their lanes are the ones that are winning. There's no lane that is losing, so it's on Velocity to make the change. Cloud9 don't have to do anything differently at this point. they've been just rotating so fluidly and changing pressure on which turret is lowest that it's up to Velocity here to make the pick, make the play happen on their part.
So we'll see if they can, because we actually haven't seen a full combo from Lux catch anybody, really. You see Evaniscus, he's going to throw out the grasping roots, but Meteos just jumps away, almost intrinsically, almost sensing danger is approaching, and he gets out of there cleanly.
Sneaky going to push in this top lane solo once again, and you can see the hesitation in the duo Velocity lane right here, not even willing to go contest versus a single Draven, which allows Cloud9's other members to pick up continuous objectives on the other side of the map. They basically just have free run all over Summoner's Rift. They got the all-day pass. They can do whatever they want.
So the one thing that Velocity is doing relatively well is they are warding pretty defensively. They've got some deep wards, at least deep in their jungle as far as that's concerned. So they got a little bit of knowledge of what is on the way. You can see they want to jump onto Chris. NK Inc has been hooked. He's pulled backwards, but Meteos gets cocooned up. He does get the kickoff, though. NK Inc pops off that ultimate. He's going to jump over the wall. Does manage to get to safety, but another time. Nasus ultimate. The Fury is down, and he's out of there.
And his flash is down now, too. So here we go. Maple Street going heads up with Sneaky.
Sneaky's going to be able to throw out that whirling death. He's going to pull it backwards. It's not going to connect, but flash burned. Maple Street forced to get out of there cleanly.
And that's the difference between Bloodthirster and Static Shiv in the fight. That Draven will just lifesteal way too much. Maple Street forced to flash out and run away.
So it does manage to at least get away with his life at the very least. Barrier for Flash, both of them burning at least one summoner spell. But if Lee Sin or Kanan get on top of Kog'Maw, Flash is going to be way more important than a cleanse.
The item difference right now is just overwhelming for Cloud9. 12K, 11K gold lead at 18.5 minutes in means that a single person high over here can single-handedly take down an inhibitor turret.
So Shock Blast goes out, doesn't manage to connect with anybody at all. He decides to back away cleanly. Light Binding gets tossed out by Echo, but does not connect with a single person. And right now, this is just the Cloud9 story. They are rolling around to every single tower. They don't give a monkeys, and they're just taking every objective they want.
And it does make me feel bad, because I remember back to the intro video to this, Velocity have just had such a hard time in the LCS, and you could even tell in his voice they didn't have a lot of hope for this game, and it really showed.
Take a look at that. They've jumped onto Evaniscus. The tower drops in the background as the Strangleforce will slow them down. Now Meteos is going to fly forward. Dragon's Rage is going to slam down Evaniscus, weeding that root where it stands. Maple Street continues attacking with a Bioarcane Barrage. Static Shiv proc goes up. They're going to back away. Final Spark finally picks up a kill. Sneaky still on the retreat. The Lantern is back there, but nobody took a ride. And finally, something positive for Velocity.
They brought High back down to earth here. They sent him to the graveyard. You're right, they finally took down somebody. This is a little light at the end of the tunnel here for Velocity.
It would be Lux that would be using or issuing that light as well. But the one thing that doesn't work out, there was no killing spree gold. It was only 2 kills for High. Now, Velocity trying to put pressure. Tempest and Slicing Maelstrom comes flying in. Maple Street has been popped. He has been squashed like a true bug. Now they turn the attention to NK Inc. The true damage isn't going to be enough. Double kill for Balls. That light has just been turned off, I'm afraid.
Yeah, that one was for my homeboy Freak, by the way, over in EU. Shout out right there. But yeah, just as soon as they get a little bit of hope, the doors close and Cloud9 come back with 2 more kills. Now Sneaky going to single-handedly try and defend this mid turret.
So 13,000 gold is the difference between these two teams. Itemization is immensely different. You are comparing Sorcerer's Shoes, Zhonya's Hourglass, and a Giant's Belt to a simple Haunting Guise on the other side. It's so difficult for Velocity to come back from this one.
Yeah. There's not a ton of strategy that goes into the game at this point when there's an exposed inhibitor for Cloud9 and they have the ability to easily win any team fight. Right now, they could simply walk up that middle lane and take an inhibitor, but they would like to clean up all the lanes. They like a nice, tidy Summoner's Rift, and they're going to shove them all in just as they've done before, and by the time they do get to Velocity's base, they can converge to win their team fight.
They've got every other tower down. That would signal pressure in this top lane then, if they wanted to keep that up. But at this moment in time, it looks like they just want to all in. 4 members of Cloud9 stacking up in the mid lane, slicing Maelstrom from balls. He's not available for at least another 15-20 seconds or so. By the time he arrives to this mid inhibitor, it might be up though.
For Velocity's sake, they're actually going to look at Evaniscus and Maple Street to try and hold off and be a threat from the back line. We talked about Zyra being hard to dive at least, but look at the shock blast. They don't even have to dive him. That was half life on both members just from one ability hitting.
High is basically complete with his build. Ionian Boots of Lucidity plus Brutalizer and Last Whisper for all that penetration and a Mura Mana completed. They're too squishy on the opposing side. So Light Binding does go out, lands on balls, slows him down, and a massive chunk of damage. Echo is dropped, he's below half health, and he's forced to recall no home guard boots yet, so he's not going to be able to run it. They've caught Evaniscus. Are they going to go in? It does look like it. Shrine of Thorns goes down as the Whirling Death is put down. Evaniscus manages to get away, but the secondary goes in from Meteos. He's going to dodge away from the final spark. Ignite is ticking away. He will finally get dropped, but there was a fair amount of damage put on that tower, and basically nobody else followed Meteos into that tower.
Great win for Velocity right there. Meteos decided to dive in, but none of the rest of Cloud9, very uncharacteristically, followed him in. They did not decide to continue on with that push, and they actually run away with their tails between their legs.
So Cloud9 not willing to risk that dive. They end up giving away one more kill, increasing Velocity's kill count to 3, and very importantly, it lands in Echo's lap. Means that he's picked up those home guards to try and at least back off and heal as quickly as possible.
We've seen how disciplined Cloud9 have become, and they've all decided not to throw away anything that could possibly cost them the game right here. But on the same token, you know, that could have been some sort of conspiracy to take down the king of the KDA and just feed Meteos one more death to his record.
It's definitely a possibility. If you're this far ahead, it's something that it's happened before. Some of these teams have actually talked about it.
Oh, Ball's in trouble now. Another one is going to be in danger.
So Wither slows him down. He is just going to get popped. Didn't even use his Zhonya's Hourglass. Decided the cooldown was more important. The rest of the team is trying to secure Dragon in the bottom lane.
This is the comeback for Velocity here. Can we start hyping that one up now? Because they just got 2 unanswered kills, which is actually huge for them.
Especially because of the shutdown bonus going into Echo's hands, plus 500 gold from that 5-and-1 cannon. So definitely going to be helping out Echo's Lux.
Cloud9 really uncharacteristic right now. They have actually lost a little bit of focus. I feel like they really need to recenter themselves right now to finish this one out cleanly.
So they need to find their zen, fix the feng shui in the room, and make sure they get back on track to continue this pressure. Super minions are still pouring down that middle lane, so at the very least, Velocity will be forced to deal with that. That gold number has increased now to 14,000 gold at this stage, which is an immense number. Now, we did see Cloud9 come back from this yesterday, but their composition was able to make those picks in the bottom lane. Now,
another unanswered kill here, and this is all from the skill shots we talked about at the beginning of the game for Velocity. All of their pick-off skills are landing right now, and they're being rewarded with the kills. This is amazing for them.
So well played by them. The burst combo was so quick, it just shut down Lemonation on the spot. Even though he's got a fair amount of HP, with that Ruby Sightstone and Shirley's Reverie, it's more than enough for both Elise and Lux to finish him out. Echo's final smoke will be back up and available off cooldown very, very shortly, and basically rinse and repeat. That's the plan for Velocity.
They're slowly clawing their way back in, just like we saw yesterday from Cloud9 doing. Teams can come back from these ridiculous deficits, and now it's actually Cloud9 on the other foot. They're the ones with the pressure to end it.
Anybody can win a game at any time. We've seen it from Curse earlier in the day. They were behind CLG for the majority of that matchup. And basically because of 1 or 2 good team fights, they were able to position themselves well. Now, Lemonation is clearing out wards. He's got that Oracle's Elixir. And this maybe signals that Cloud9 are thinking about Baron, at the very least, to pull Velocity to them.
They're definitely thinking about baiting Baron right now because they don't have Sneaky with them. If he does join the team, they can take it down very quickly, but what they'd rather do here is pull Velocity into the jungle where they can collapse on them so that no one gets picked off again, and they are able to pull off a team fight with them being the initiators.
So something that does have to go mentioned, or with that inhibitor being down, all of the other lanes get that additional HP on their minions, and that's actually going to allow Velocity to catch up some of that CS. You know,
So-
all the waves pushing to them.
Exactly. Not only do they get these staggered bonus gold kills from Cloud9, but they're also getting continuous minion farm. And without Cloud9 taking the Baron over here, they're not coming in with that extra power, and it's really going to be up to the next team fight at a turret. I feel like Velocity should probably just give up the free inhibitor here because they don't have the extra added defense of a turret to fight behind.
So we'll see what they decide. The light binding does not catch on anyone. Chris is trying to set up a cocoon. Doesn't really want Meteos. He was looking to see if he could get it on Sneaky. He is playing very far forward. The inhibitor is still standing. They've defended it for the time being.
And inhibitors do slowly regen if you let them alone, but they're not going to leave it alone. So
They managed to re-engage. As soon as that next minion wave got up there, Cloud9 just rolled back onto the inhibitor, dropped that one down. So that is now down again. The rest of Cloud9 moving up to this top lane, and we'll see if Meteos is going to dive so aggressively this time.
I believe that was the right call from Velocity to give that one up because they want to make their last stand with the extra power of those turret shots and really hope, again, you're right, for another deep dive from Cloud9.
Oh, look at the damage onto Echo on Maple Street. High is just raining down damage from above, shooting out those blasts. Now, the Cocoon catches a minion. It's not ideal. There's some pretty good wave clear on the side of Velocity, which is allowing them to at least slow down this pressure, but the tower is being dropped down ever so slowly.
The key here is High's out of mana now. He cannot continually fire those things over and over, even though he does have the extra mana. He's actually continuously using it, and he's dropped back down. So Cloud9 again pulling back off, and they allow more farm to go to Velocity.
So they're going to take away the buffs again, denying at least the jungle camps and the neutral monsters. They still hold that 13,000 gold
Maple Street
lead.
showing bottom though, but they're making a rush for Baron.
So we'll see how this pans out for them. There's no vision here really on the side of Velocity, but NK Inc.'s Nasus, he is in the area. He's just put a ward down, so they're aware of it. Baron is getting lower and lower.
This would be a hero solo steal from NK Inc. if he's able to pull it off. He's done it before.
Echo is going to take so much damage from that Whirling Death. He's got his final spark up. And Veniscus is now the one in trouble as Meteos dives forward. Ignite has been burned. Echo is going to stay within final spark range as the rest of Cloud9. They realize they've got the opportunity. Shock Blast goes down. A very nice Void Ooze is going to slow them. Cocoon plus Strangle Force is going to delay this. They knock two of them up. Cloud9 are split. The first one to fall is Veniscus. Now that the Lantern is up, they're going to pull Cannon forward. A numbers advantage means Cloud9 are on the turret.
That's why they wanted to pull Velocity out of the base into the jungle so they could collapse and make use of that giant item advantage that they have.
Tower is down. A massive shock blast rattles across Maple Street there. Now they turn their attention to the inhibitor. Echo's doing the best he can to get on anyone. Ball slicing Maelstrom really doesn't do too much as Chris is the next one to fall. Now they carry on the pressure. Maple Street gets away with his life before the shock blast lands. Now Lemon Nation pulls Echo into it again. He pulls him backwards. True damage is down. They have super minions towards the Nexus turrets. Cloud9 may look to finish.
And now they can finally go on those Nexus turrets. They're inside the base, and they're not going to let this one go on much longer.
Cloud9 going to carry on the pressure. Jace puts a lot of damage onto the left Nexus turret before the rest of the members go to the bottom lane. They're doing this by the numbers. They want the next tower before they back away, take blue buff, and try rinse and repeat. Final spark, hit nobody.
They're scared of those skill shots and somebody getting caught out because they've already had 3 members lose their lives to getting snagged out solo, and they don't want to throw this one away. Now that they have decimated the entire inside of the Velocity base, they can calmly return to base and come back with bigger and better weapons.
15,000 gold advantage at the 30-minute mark. They've been increasing at a minimum of 500 gold per minute more than their opponents. Dragon is secured. They took the blue buff away. They stole the red buff earlier. See, High has picked up his blue buff. Basically, with super minions in the middle lane and the top lane, you really feel that it's just a matter of time before Cloud9 find the window to close this game out.
Yeah, it's funny that, you know, I called this game a little different than the last game, but it's turning out to be very, very similar because Cloud9 are taking almost as long to finally go over and finish the game as Dignitas did. But this is one thing Dignitas did not do. They never went for the Baron or allowed their opponents the chance to steal it.
So the ward fails. NK Inc is going to get dropped down. High and Meteor's just closing that one out completely. It actually looked like the Sonic Wave dealt the last tick of damage on NK Inc. There's no smites available, and NK Inc really just wandering in no man's land.
Their only hope right now is the Lux combo from Echo. If he can get that Miracle Steal over the edge right now, it would even be blind at this point.
And he threw it onto High instead. He caught Chase down, did 50% damage, and fair enough, that hurt a lot, but it didn't secure a kill. It didn't buy them any time.
Yeah.
And the rest of Cloud9 are chasing.
There's no way that was going to win them the game or stall it much longer, so no Baron steal for Velocity means that Cloud9 are coming in strong.
So we'll see how this works out for them. High has respawned. He's got that acceleration gate to run up towards this bottom lane, probably, as it looks like the rest of Cloud9 are trying to take this third and final inhibitor. League of Legends by the numbers, and basically after losing those picks, after getting picked off, Cloud9 basically said, let's do this smart. Let's not run the risk of throwing on a failed dive.
It's easy because they can just walk in with their minion wave 2 and clean up another 2 inhibitors here. And King actually gets caught out first, so they're going to take the kill.
Completely caught out again. He's dropped down. The shot blast not enough to finish him off, nor is the Whirling Death. They turn their attention over to Chris, playing Elise. He's going to drop back down. That'll be him dropping to Sneaky's last auto attack. Another inhibitor drops as Cloud9 now turn their attention. Then K-Ink has returned back to the fight with those home guards, as well as his ultimate burning. It has just worn off. 3 inhibitors down, super minions in the top lane, super minions in the mid lane. Cloud9 should be able to close this out.
Okay, now they're on the Nexus turrets. The left one's going to go down first.
So they turn their attention to NK Inc. He's going to fall yet again, 0-4-4. Maple Street is the next target. Cloud9 want the kills. They're letting the minions do the work as they focus the champions. Lemon Nation with a brilliant death sentence pulls Evanescus backwards. This is going to be the victory. Surrender vote comes in. Nexus is taken down and finished out for Cloud9.
Congratulations, Cloud9. Not nearly the same reaction that we saw yesterday. You can tell that they know there are some things that they can improve on from that game. And even though they came out with the win, not a lot of emotion there.
Very controlled game. You know, everything they did seemed calculated. It seemed decisive. We've seen Lemon Nation roaming down to the bottom lane very early on in that particular map. And Sneaky was just pretty much 1v2 for a little bit, but they said, hey, Meteos is going to come gank, he's got your back.
The early game was just beautiful from Cloud9. The way that they filled in and rotated whichever member was closest to the lane to continue to farm it up, and they let no minions go to waste. And they just rotated duties, even having High gank top or Lemon go bottom to duel with balls. They always had the next move planned out until they got to those inhibitor turrets.
Yeah, and as soon as they got there, it felt as though maybe a little bit of overconfidence. They got caught out one by one in different positions, and I think that was a bit of a wake-up call, saying, hey, you can come back from these games.
You remember what happened yesterday, guys? Oh, yeah, we should definitely play this safe and finish it out cleanly.
So well played to Cloud9 for yet another win. All right, guys, we've got to take a short break, but when we return, Cloud9's High and Lemon Nation will join us to talk about going a perfect 3-0 on the week. Plus, chat will break down the biggest plays of the day so far. The North American League Championship Series will return right after this.